Yeah, show. I am your host, Matty G, with my guy Skiddy. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. Jay got my 4-in-1, and I say you've got your Dricky Poo as well for tonight. As we get stuck in to the Atlanta Hawks team previews, the team previews are ready to go. G Wizzle, I'm excited about this one because this one's got there's a fair amount up in the air at the moment with the Hawks lineup.
There is, and this is a brand new format for our show. We're going to crack these out in 30 minutes or less. We're going to stick to the guys that you want to get. We're going to talk some dynasty stuff along the way. But let's get to it. This is the Atlanta Hawks preview. This is Insight NBA.
They're playing basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skiddy, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
Oh, you got to get hyped after that song. Yes, indeed, it is the Atlanta Hawks preview. And what better way to start the show and the season of previews than you getting a dig at the Los Angeles Lakers by bringing about the highlight of the season for the Atlanta Hawks last year.
I'm very, very happy with you, G, for doing that. Yep, that is a great way to start. And what a great dunk that was. So hopefully, and honestly, that was the best thing about Atlanta Hawks year last year. Nothing else really good for them. They were 36-46, didn't make the playoffs.
Nope.
Oh, they did, didn't they?
They did make the playoffs. They made the playoffs barely.
They did. They lost the Boston right at the first round.
They sucked. Let's be honest. They didn't live up to expectations. This was a team that we thought, if you're on the over and unders for the year, I thought a clear overs was the Atlanta Hawks. They had the potential, as you said. They 12th in offensive rating last year, but defense was their kryptonite of all of the 30 teams in the NBA. They were 27th in defensive rating, and they just underwhelmed. The Dejounte Murray and Trae Young, is it working? Is he going to be traded narrative? It was fine. There was a podcast. Trae Young had a podcast. They sat down. They loved each other, and it was all bullshit, Skiddy.
Yeah, well, apparently so, mate. I mean, it just didn't work well on the court. I think that's fair to say. Two ball-dominant players. And, I mean, the returns that they get, I mean, yeah, I don't mind it, G. We have a look here at the ins and the outs now for the Atlanta Hawks. So, obviously, Dejounte Murray gets traded for Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. in return. Cody Zeller also coming across there from the Pelicans. They then do a quick swing and get David Roddy out of the trade from Phoenix. So, he and someone else, the Grizzlies, sorry. David Roddy then coming to Atlanta while they now make the move and also get Dominic Barlow, which is not a bad get from the San Antonio Spurs. And obviously Sadiq Bey and Fernando are gone, Bey to Washington and Fernando to the Raptors.
Yeah, absolutely gone now. Look, let's be honest. This is a trade that needed to happen for multiple reasons, namely that the experiment just wasn't working. And the discontent was just kind of self-evident in the Atlanta Hawks. This was a team that did have promise. It didn't live up to it, as I said earlier on. Look, Atlanta Hawks are Braino's favorite team, one of our blokes from Insight. He loves these guys. And there was a little bit of hype for them. And I guess it could also come up with the whole Clint Capella versus Onyeka Okongwu. There's always this potential in Atlanta. Like, oh, but Okongwu's there. He's going to get the start. He's going to be the guy. But, mate, they just completely underwhelming. Do you think their fortunes change with these additions to their lineup? Also, elephant in the room, they got the number one pick. I mean, Jesus, Mother Mary and Joseph, what a reward.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not looking like the best number one pick in recent years. It's more on the Anthony Bennett side to the Victor Wembanyama side, but that's all right. He's got room to improve. It can be one of these anything kind of guys in Zachary Risacher. So, to answer your question, I'm interested to see how this team will go this year. I think they are going to start with Capella again. But as me and you were talking about this before, there's a lot of different ways they can go with this lineup, G. Where I can see one scenario where Onyeka Okongwu does start.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think it's the start of the year, but I can definitely see it later in the year. How do you think it all kind of works out for the Atlanta Hawks?
Look, I'm not sure where it goes. This is one of the things we're going to break down in our brand new format of this show. We know that there's one guy who's going to start, and I guess we started off with, let's start off with one of our brand new segments. It's the team Top Gun, and that is no other. Zoom. Trae Young, as you said, usage rate. This ice cold Trae. This guy is a 31.6% usage guy. There's 1/3 of your percentage right there every single time you step on the court. Absolutely eaten up. And this is where I think it's when you build around Trae, we've got to talk around the fact that this bloke has now found himself, Skiddy, number one option in the team.
Oh, easily.
Number one in your heart. And in your first round of your draft board? Is he a first-round draft board guy for you?
Oh, okay. So Trae is just outside my first round, but I don't hate it. I mean, he had been first round, 2 years ago before Dejounte was there. Last year, his points were down, his usage were down, the assists were still around the mark. His steals were up, but, the field goal percentage really, really hurt with how Trae went. And obviously, his turnovers were absolute killer. So, I mean, the thing is, there's so many... It's very, very hard later in the draft to find these good assist players, right? And we look at Tyrese Halliburton, we look at Trae, we look at Nikola Jokic. Trae's up there for a reason, and it's because he's so valuable in the double-digit assist column that he can provide. Yeah. Now, he only played 54 games last year, so we need that to bump up. But I don't mind Trae around the first round mark, around the turn. I think that's absolutely fine for Trae. The usage is going to go up. I think this is going to be back in 2022 Atlanta Hawks, where Trae was just doing everything for them at the end there. He was pushing them forward. I really, really like it. I know that the Knicks will absolutely hate it, but that's the Knicks' problem, not our problem in fantasy. I like it, Jay. I like it.
And this is what you're saying. We're talking the first round. I'm thinking that he's just edged into mine to be 100%. And if you want to know exactly what we're thinking, we've got our big draft boards. The link is below. You can get it from our Patreon. Get our big draft boards. Buy it now. It is an essential tool when it comes your time to draft, because this big draft board has your top 168 players. We've got 12 rounds, 12 players in each one. It's got yours. It's got Mally's. It's got Matrix's, and it's got mine. And then it gives you a consensus average. So under the hood, peeking at it, it's really good data for Trae Young to have a look at where he's going on our boards. I've got him at 11. Mally has him at 14. You have him at 15. Matrix has him at 26. His average between our boards right now is around 16. So if you don't get him in the first round, he's flying off really bloody quickly in the second, and he's going to be gone. But when we talk about this, and you said the starting fives, you've got to surround a guy like Trae Young with defense, and you need other offensive options. Otherwise, the bloke's going to get swamped. And this is where the debate heats up, because
here we go.
In my mind, okay, Trae Young is the only offensive guy there out who's a reliable offensive guy. However, he will get double and triple teamed, and we know how that he gets assists for a reason, because two guys will collapse on him. He's got to pass the ball to someone else, and he's pretty good at those reads, or he'll drop you the floater up.
Yep.
This opens up. What do you do now? Now Bogdanovic is Skiddy. Let's just put it on there. This is the starting five that I put on there. This is the potential five we've got. Point guard is Trae Young. Shooting guard we've got penciled in as Dyson Daniels. I'll put Risacher, the number one pick, in at small forward. Jalen Johnson at power forward, and Clint Capella as the center. Now this is a whole bunch of moving parts, because narrowly missing out here is a Kongwu, bloody DeAndre Hunter, and as we just said, Bogdanovic. Daniels makes sense for me from a defensive end to play that perimeter defense that he's shown at the Olympic Games. You need that on the Atlanta Hawks, because Risacher is young. He's not going to be able to do it. Hunter, he can do it.
Ooh, no, he can't. Not well. He can do stuff. But Dyson Daniels immediately comes that perimeter lockdown defender for me. We'll talk about him later on in another segment for sure. But this is where guys like Jalen Johnson plays his role incredibly well. He's gone. The debate here is, does DeAndre get the nod over Risacher, the number one pick? You think that could be the case to start the season, mate? Okay. So my way goes down to it. I don't think there's any. I love what you said there, but I just don't think there's any way that the Hawks go both Daniels, Johnson, and Risacher. I think that's just too much inexperience in the starting lineup for them.
I agree.
Because remember as well, Dyson hasn't even started with his team yet because he's been with Team Australia. So he has no connection with Trae at all yet. He has no connection with Capella, Johnson, anyone at the moment. I think to start the year, they will. I like it. I like your shout of Dyson in there for defense, but I think Bogey's going to be very influential, especially at the start of the year.
Now, I don't disagree with you. So this is where I'm thinking, are we doing this come opening lineup day? Or are we thinking what the starting five is going to be like for a majority of the season? So I'm looking at this from like, more games.
I see what you mean by that. I definitely see what you mean by that.
Because who's going to be a flamethrower off the bench for these guys?
It'll be Bogey. Yeah, it will be Bogey eventually. I reckon what you're saying there. I reckon just starting opening night, I think they'll start Bogey. Eventually, then they'll move Dyson in there. But I think Hunter will probably be in the lineup for majority of the time ahead of Risacher until Risacher is ready. Like, they're not going to, they don't want to put him out there when he has to go up against, these big body, ready-made already players. And Risacher's that scrawny. I think they'd rather put him out there against the second unit.
I've just had a look right now, a cheeky peek. We're talking about this. I'm looking at the 6 Man of the Year awards.
Interesting.
Bogdan Bogdanovic and DeAndre Hunter are both at 36-1 on Sportsbet currently.
Interesting. Yeah, right.
Now, Bogdan Bogdanovic was one of my favorites to start the year off last year, and he was looking absolute goods until he was forced into that role. Look, I still think that that's the case, but these are guys, let's be honest, if you look at this starting five, these are all guys who are going on draft day. There's no one here that's going to probably go outside the top 110, 120. Depends on where you're going to take Risacher. People love Capella for whatever reasons there. But we all know right now that this is the thing. Like, who else have we got? Larry Nance is your waiver wire. He's going to be sitting there. Yeah, good on you. You're not going to go out and be like, hey, guess what, guys? I drafted Larry Nance today. It was excellent.
No, that's true. I don't know if Risacher is draftable. That's all I'm saying. I don't think he profiles great as a as a fantasy guy. I think he can be a solid NBA player eventually, but I don't think he's going to be a draftable NBA player. I mean, you could have a flyer at the end, but I think there's better rotation pieces to be able to have a crack at.
And you think DeAndre Hunter for now as well, like talking about that one, we talked about the Dyson Daniels Bogey thing. You think DeAndre Hunter, because of his connection there, gets that over Risacher for now?
I think he definitely does. Yeah, just because of a connection piece that Quinn Snyder can actually rely upon.
He's an interesting one. We've got Risacher at this. I've got him at 129 on my board. Mally's got him at 134. You're at 137. And Matrix has him at 140 right now. So his average on our first estimate projections of where we're going, he's about 135. But again, being a rookie, being the number one pick, it inflates value come draft day. Like
he's dropping for me. He is dropping hard for me.
Ooh. Hard for you? Hard for you? Well, here's one that we're also talking about.
We.
This is another brand new segment we've got every single time we do a show preview. We're going to focus on a guy in the lineup and do an ADP battle because this is what we're talking about. We're talking about are we drafting these guys and where they go. And this is a tale of 2 Jalens. This is the Johnson versus Williams. This is the brand new ADP battle segment. Gun to your head, you've got to take one of these 2 guys. They're going off boards around the same draft. And it's almost like, shit, someone's taken Jalen Johnson. Oh, shit, someone's taken Jalen Williams. And you type it in the name real quickly to add to your board. Who do you like the most and why here, Skiddy? Because there's arguments for both.
Yep, that is absolutely true. I think that I don't think you can go wrong with either or of them. I can see definitely the appeal of Jalen Johnson's upside. He can obviously do a lot. He's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to fantasy as well. So I really like that out of him. But I'm going with the more reliable J-Dub just because I love the role that he's got at OKC. I think it's very, very cemented. I know Hartenstein comes in and puts in a little bit of a caveat. But he was like 40th ranked player last year. He played a lot of games. The year before, he had unbelievable steal numbers. They were down last year, so they can still come up. I know there's a lot of pieces to that pie, but I feel like he's still that like a really, really good, just solid role. I can see where you will say that Jalen Johnson has the better upside, which I'm about as well. In this one, gun to my head, I'm just going to be a bit more safe on that. Where do you go, G?
Yeah, look, I love J-Dub. I've been, again, since rookie preseason J-Dub, I've been there and I'll fly that flag. But last year, I can tell you what, the second that this bloke was in and out of lineups, he only had a 56-game, 23-24 campaign, which hurt you. He's playing 33.7 minutes a game, which is huge. Over 500 field goal. His free throw percentage does nig you a little bit, 726 on the year, but the 8.7 boards, the 3.6 assists, steals, it's 2 stocks a game, almost guaranteed from the bloke. He does turn it over a bit more. He profiles well. I just think in this team, he's going to be relied upon more this season. So the upside is there, especially with Dejounte taking a step away from the team, if we want to call it that, being traded away, booted, say it as you want. I think the upside for Jalen Johnson is greater than Jalen Williams' upside. I think Jalen Williams is the better pick. And I'm going to take J-Dub in the ADP battle this time. But I think if you're feeling a little bit frisky and risky, you could probably make the argument that Jalen Johnson has the potential. And again, he finished last year in 9-count leagues, -1 value, standard head-to-heads at the 52nd ranked player in 56 games. In 56 games. That's incredible.
Here's the thing as well that I can say about his numbers from last year, right? He averaged 16 points per game. Obviously, they were down a little bit at the start of the year because he wasn't, he was injured from here and there. And he wasn't consistently in the rotation. Remember at the very, very start of the year, he was coming off the bench. 8.7 rebounds. He was near getting double doubles like on the daily
every night
at a certain point. So I can definitely, like, if we sit here and we go, hey, at the end of the year, Jalen Johnson's averaging 20 points per game with 9 rebounds, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I love that upside. So, yeah, I
can see him averaging 18 and a half. I can see him averaging 18 and a half, 8.5 rebounds again, 4.2 assists. And I reckon that 2 stocks a game is going to be there. Plus, like 2.5, I think we could look at this year.
Here's my question for you, though, G.
Oh, okay.
Who's the second option on this team? Trae's number 1. Who's number 2?
Jalen Johnson.
You reckon it's Jalen Johnson, or do you reckon it's Bogey?
No, Jalen Johnson. I think Bogey will become that, and he is that because we've seen what he's done in Team Serbia, and just he's an incredible basketball player. Let's be honest. He is just the Milwaukee Bucks are still kicking themselves for not landing him a few years ago, and I think 20 other 8 teams in the NBA would like to have Bogdan Bogdanovic playing for them because he's just that good. He is a team player. I think the USA, and this is back to that starting point, the USA really, they kind of honed in on him on that comeback run against Serbia as well. Like, he's not a great defender, which dings me, which makes me think Dyson gets the nod there. But if he's the 6th man, if he's getting extra minutes, if Dyson or someone gets out hurt, the guy's going to become that second guy that you see on the draft boards. And again, last year when you look at it and you break down the teams and who finished where at the end of the day, this was a team that did have a bunch of blokes in your top 100, and it was Trae, Dejounte, Jalen. But then Bogdan Bogdanovic was the next. He played 79 games for them last year. That's as safe as houses behind Dejounte's 78 games. And he finished with the 80th rank, basically, 79 on the board. So I think it's him inherently. But I think Jalen Johnson, then I think Bogey.
Mate, on some sites, Bogey was actually the 33rd ranked player overall last year. So that's ridiculous. But obviously he played 79 games, so he only missed 3. So that's where it comes down for me. I can see the side of both there, and absolutely love that.
And he was Jalen Johnson. This again. He was a guy that was ready to rise last year, man. He was a guy that was ready to rise and step into the role. This is what happens when John Collins went away. And one of our new segments in this one is ready to rise. The guy who we think is going to step forward because they have the opportunity there or there's a hole opened up. And let's check out the Atlanta Hawks ready to rise.
Your opportunity.
Mate, tell us about this. You love it. I love it. You tell us about this bloke and why you love him, Skiddy.
Well, obviously because he's Australian, that's why we love him so much. No, it's because the defensive ability that Dyson Daniels has. Now, look, he only had 22 minutes per game when he played for the New Orleans Pelicans, and now he does have a chance where he can be the starter in Atlanta. So this is going to be one of those ones where we can say, hey, if Dyson is going to be the starter in Atlanta, then this is a clear runway where we can go, all right, let's have a dead set crack at choosing Dyson Daniels because he is a guy that can get everything. He's a ball handler. He can get rebounds. He can get steals, some blocks. Like we saw it a lot in Australia in the Olympics from Dyson. The free throw percentage can hurt. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Needs to be able to be a bit more of an aggressive scorer, to have a bit more tools to the trade. I think he's going to be able to get more shooting opportunities if he is playing off of Trae rather than CJ and Zion. So I like that aspect of what Dyson can be able to do, G. I think it's going to be a good jump. I think it's just going to be how does the rotation play out with how Quinn Snyder is going to formulate what is going to happen with the Bogey, Risacher, Hunter, and Dyson Daniels kind of logjam. Because if he's a backup point guard only getting 22 again, then yuck. It's not it for fantasy.
Yeah. Exactly. Look, he's had a maligned role in a very stacked New Orleans Pelicans team for years. And what we love about him, he's there and he's not there. Like he comes in and he absolutely it's like he just is a man unleashed. He's out there getting 1.4 steals a game in minimal minutes. He's getting 6 points a game, almost 4 rebounds. Like he's working his ass off out there on the court. But again, this is what happens in fantasy. We can't draft him aggressively, even though we want to, based on his minutes per game. He only played 22.3 minutes a game in New Orleans. So this is still like, it's almost half a game. Like it's a 48-minute basketball game, kids. Let's not lie. He's almost playing half of it at 24. Now, if that creeps into 26, 27, 28 minutes a game, oh, it's spicy. It's really sexy here. It's 29 minutes a game. I think it could be because we talk about guys who get like 30 minutes a game, like 29, 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
I'm going to use our good friend Herb Jones as my guideline for who he played with over in New Orleans. Now, Herb Jones was at 30 minutes a night. His teammate. Yep. He's a better free throw shooter, 100%. Better 3-point shooter, 100%. But him having the opportunity to be close to the bucket in the dunker stock, take corner threes, knock down those shots, get more defensive stats. He's a very willing passer and playmaker. We saw that in Australia in the Olympics. So he is okay to be a dish off from Trae, and then he can make a read for it. So that can creep up. He is okay on the rebounding front. He can definitely step that up a little bit more. He was under the league averages at 3.9 for himself last season. But I do see an opportunity where that can creep up to 5.5, 6 a game, especially if he gets the starting spot here and he's supporting a guy like Clint Capella. Because if Risacher gets the start, I don't think he is. But I think working off Jalen Johnson with that kind of flexibility, I do think there is an opportunity for him to do a lot better, mate. And it's sitting there for him to take it. And that's why he's ready to rise, because we're talking about guys who are going to jump up where they're going to finish, and he's going to have a better year.
Yep. Oh, yeah, 100% agree with that. And also, too, the Atlanta Hawks are one of the best paced teams in the NBA. So it's either way, it's going to be more opportunity for him to get more shots. You could almost see it in a way of a punt points kind of player. But if he keeps the steals up, and they continue to rise, then that alone is going to be making it worth him to be drafted. Everything else is just going to be a plus.
And this is the thing we're talking about as well. We are talking about a guy who is showing that he is going to be drafted this year. And so previously he's undrafted. He's like, oh, I can leave him on the waiver wire. Not anymore.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you got to have a crack at him, especially if he does get that starting spot eventually as well.
And this is a guy who is going out. He's currently 147 in our draft boards, which means this is a guy who's going last round value right now. So this is a guy who's already starting. He's having that swing on the upside, and you're looking for that, especially with your last rounds. You're like, oh yeah, I'm looking pretty good. putting it
That's
out
right.
there. Look, talking about have a swig. Why don't you have a swig instead of a swig from your 4-1 there, Skiddy? You like that? Have a swig. Get your 4-1. Get your 4-1 for the product placement, because that's thanks to our good friends over at the Standard Squeeze. They have all your delicious traveler mugs in apparel like this one that I am wearing right now. You can get 15% off all your gear. It is Father's Day coming up as well, so don't forget to lock that in. And we've also got some absolutely sick Father's Day merch, including if you're a big fan of the old Jordan Red Band shoes, there is a limited edition Father's Day Super Dad, Super Coach T-shirt, Red Band edition, as well as the Insight Fantasy Store, and you can get that one as well. All of it, we're just wearing apparel. It's out here what we're doing, and there's the best of the.
You know what I always say, G?
Tell me,
if you don't buy our merch, weak as piss. Be better. Buy my merch.
You can do it. You can jump on there. You can jump on there. You can do all of it. Don't be weak. Be strong. Be a Skiddy.
Don't be like
and
piss.
Do that one.
Stronger than piss.
Poo? It's much denser. It's a solid. That's all I'm saying. Solid. It's a science lesson.
Get out of the toilet.
It's not that one. Hey, look, best of the rest. This is our final segment. Guys who come draft day is the best of the rest who are left on this team. If you're looking for Atlanta Hawks, if you're looking for those homer picks, who is available in this board to draft?
You're simply the best.
Indeed, this is the guys who we reckon are the best of the rest. And we've spoken about one of them, Bogdan Bogdanovic, but it's really Dejounte Hunter and my boy, the omelet, Onyeka Okongwu, Skiddy. They're the guys we're looking. The omelet.
Yeah, so Hunter, I still do not care. There was a certain point last year where he was averaging 24 points per game or something like that, and he was on an absolute heater. And he was a waiver wire pickup for a while there, and then dropped his ass. So I'm not drafting DeAndre Hunter. It doesn't matter if he starts or whatnot. He's started for the last 2 years. I don't care. He's off my board.
For 15 points a game, 3 rebounds, he's going to get you a good, decent free throw percentage. His turnovers will hurt you, but look, he can help you out later in drafts. Again, this is a guy you're looking at 12th round, 11th round, maybe. No,
I'm not drafting him.
Where are you drafting Clint Capella? He's been a top 100 player. He's a guy who we want to center. We want rebounds. We want points. We love our field goal percentage. We're punting free throw percentage, which sends his stocks bloody higher the way up. Oh yeah. We like Clint Capella in this situation too.
For me, it's hard because it's just not a sexy pick. Like Okongwu is, but to be frank, what he was 95th per game last year. It's just. Yeah, so I think I'm still going to go around the 100 mark or so. I think that's where I roughly have him as well. It just depends because he's only got 25 minutes per game last year, right? But he had 10 rebounds per game, which is what we want. We're basically getting him in for the rebounds, the field goal efficiency, and praying that he doesn't go to the free throw line. That's basically what we're getting Clint Capella in for.
This is exactly right. And look, Sadiq Bey is off the side, as we've said. Our guys have come inside. No one really here. Larry Nance Jr. is going to be one of those guys who gets additional minutes. See, that's a waiver wire pickup. That is a streaming option that we're going to be looking at for the Atlanta Hawks this year. And you'll find yourself, like you did last year, picking up Larry Nance for a back-to-back set because you just want a few extra rebounds, good field goal percentage. Hello, Larry Nance Jr. Welcome aboard the G Whizzles. And then see you later.
You running that again, are you, the G Whizzles?
Oh, maybe you're in a couple of leagues. Maybe.
I need to think of a good one. I need to think of a good name for this year, so that'll be on the cards as well.
Yeah, we can't play skid marks because it's just too childish. And we said no toilet behavior. We've said no toilet behavior on this podcast this season, Skid.
You cheeky devil, you.
Is there anyone else apart from Vit has been re-signed in the Vit Krejcik has been re-signed in the offseason for these guys as the backup point guard, shooting guard here? Apart from the ins and outs, we're not really looking at anyone with great fantasy relevance apart from those 3 blokes and obviously new acquisition, Larry Nance Jr., are we?
No. So, we have a crack at Dyson late. Trae liking him around that turn mark before the 20s. Bogey, I'd probably still be a little bit interested in a little bit around probably the hundreds or so. Same as Capella, Johnson. I'm right there with you around the 40-odd mark. I think that's about right for him. And but basically, mate, they got rid of Patty Mills, so honestly, the Hawks can get stuffed.
They can, and they can probably get a better record and help us hit the overs for next year. We've got more of our team previews dropping. Oh, Bolter bet. I don't drink Bolter, but I'll do a Shivers bet that they have. They're actually not going to have a better record because they're shit.
Oh, but I'll take that. I'll take it.
I don't think they'll have a better record. Look, I don't know where they're going to. Look, do I think they? I don't know if they're going to be a 500 team. The East is a little bit worse off. Look, I think they might win 41 games if they go over it, but I don't think we're. Really? I don't think we're.
You're going as high as 41.
I don't think so. If they're going to go over, they're only going to go over a couple of games. Again, we only saw a 54 game season sample set from Trae,
That's right.
And we didn't see a full game from Jalen. So I'm thinking there's a couple of games there they could get back because those games were games that Dejounte put the Hawks on his back and won.
Oh, yeah.
So that was Dejounte putting them on the back and they won. If Trae Young was to do that, who knows what could happen? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I also like Quinn Snyder a hell of a lot. So I do want that to roll out. I do like Quinn Snyder. I love Coach Quinny. And that's where I'm going to sit out with that one at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned. Mate, we're going to be back. We've got more tea previews coming up. We've also got a show this week, our big draft board. Buy our draft board, buy the merch, and like and subscribe to all things Insight Fantasy Sports, brother.
Yes, absolutely, mate. Join the Discord. You guys, it should be a link in the description for it. We got every sport in there. Bang on into that and come and have a chin wag with us all about any sport that you'd like. It's all in there. And there's even punting if you want horses, dogs, whatever. We got it all in there, mate.
We have absolutely everything. Our new NFL show is rolling out as well. And our Patreon link, where you can get that big draft board, is below. This has been the Atlanta Hawks preview. Celtics on the way, big draft board show, and Yahoo rankings with Dan Titus, all coming up this week. Inside Fantasy Sports, Insight NBA.